then came along electronics, and all of a sudden, the bandwidth increased. And as you go through, if you look at the x-axis, as you progress through time, the bandwidth increased, number of cables increased. In fact, I saw in one of the slides, I think the gentleman has gone. I was joking with him. He said this is a machine in Brazil, and in the back of it, all the cables were very disorganized. Well, if you had RAPSTRAPs, it'd be very organized. So, if you look at the number of cables that have gone up in all sorts of applications, you need to put these straps around. Now, if you look at one particular kind of cable in particular, the fiber optic cable, if you had a strap, which is like the one I showed you, or like this, it could suffocate that cable. It could suffocate that cable for a variety of reasons: differential thermal expansion, hot days, or somebody just putting it too tight, and you can't go back to it. Fiber optics doesn't like it because it degrades the signal. If you had the RAPSTRAP, you can either adjust it or simply allow it to expand with the cable. This also works very well for the horticulture industry, and I'll show you the application in a minute. But for fiber optics cable, this is particularly interesting. You can see in practice that the bandwidth loss, it's actually bandwidth transmission for the RAPSTRAP cables over here is quite uniform across, irrespective of the application. But if you look at the other ones, it's sporadic. So it has a leg up on it in that sense. My cell phone is ringing, but I'm not going to answer it. Now, diversification, horticulture. We have a big RAPSTRAP, and it has a little flat portion to it. You can imagine if you put a new plant in the ground, you can put this around the plant, allow it to expand nicely as it grows, and put this around the post. And it's UV stabilized, and it will stay there. The people who love this are the landscape architects. They like it very much. You can also use the exact same thing for another application, which I'll show you. But in horticulture, you can see over there, it's quick, it's soft, it's elastic, it's cheap, etc. And I'm particularly interested in the very last item, in the vineyards. And I'll tell you why. I went to the California vineyards and launched some field trials. This is a slimline version of it. It's thin and narrow. Again, very strong. Same material, polyurethane. So you can put this around the vineyard, around the vines. Just see this. You can go around like this. When you've done your bit, you just break it out. And you leave it around there. Now imagine what would happen if it was made of biodegradable, biocombustible material. I mean, we don't have that in our hands as yet, but that's clearly a reason to look for it. And again, I can break one off, and I can work with the rest. So from one, I would get most likely 4. A trained installer would use the entire thing, and all you would have left is this much, which is hardly any loss. Orchards and vineyards are definitely there. Nurseries, they're clamoring for it. Ever since the BBC program came on, the phone is ringing off the hook. This is the application which I was talking about, where for hardware, there's duct work going on. If there's a delicate duct, you have this flat portion to hold it up, and then you can still use it. I've gone to the hardware stores in California and given them bags like this, multicolor, etc. They said the only problem with this is that it's not intuitive. So if you hang it on the shelf, and shelf space is expensive, people are not going to get it. You're going to have to show and tell. So we're going to do all of that, but they are very receptive. They say it's a wow product. Once it gets into somebody's hands, it's going to go all over, and people are going to come back for more. But how do you do that? Well, we are trying to find ways to promote it in England, and we want to do the same thing in India. Next one is consumer retail. Like I said, kitchen drawers, etc. Volumes. It's a volume product. Now, the applications will come from the customers. We are now sort of overwhelmed by the number of possible applications that come from housewives, from kids, from gardeners, from automotive people, and you have to say to yourself at some point that we have to focus on some markets, but the two large markets for us are the cable and horticulture. So here's an example of the number of bags, a number of stars we have. It's very simple in one sense. It will be in bags like this and a stack of 6. And all somebody has to do is just tear one out and use it. The mold is so made that you can tear it out and very easily go about using it, and then it's yours. So we will sell it in slimline, we will sell it in this in the regular size, we'll sell it in this one, packs of 100, packs of 50, depending on how people want it. In this global map, what you're seeing, whatever is not green, are the areas in which we filed for patents. So there's 20 patents filed. 3 of them have been granted. Mexico, South Africa, and China have granted patents. We've received word from India that it's proceeding, but it's a slow process over here. Americans and Canadians have asked for a little bit more data and information, which we have provided. But nevertheless, this whole activity is about a year old, and most patents will take 2 or 3 years to be granted. But when so the technology is very proprietary. The red dots are where we actually have people assigned to those countries. So Japan has a person, Philippines has one, I've got the India and South Asia territory, and then there's of course UK and Europe, and there's a gentleman in America. So to summarize, it's a well-differentiated product. There's many competitive advantages. It's high volume, consumable item. It's very price competitive. For a product which has so much versatility and can be reused, etc., we think that a 50% premium over a regular cable tie is not too much to ask. And if you can pump it out in large quantities, we will really give them a run for the money. But I would like to warn you, it is not a substitute for cable ties in everything, because there will be applications where a cable tie will be used for whatever reason. You know, it's an old dog, and it has its place in the cable world. But there are many applications where cable tie is simply used because there are very few options. So it's very diverse, it's a scalable global product, and we think it's the next workflow. So sometimes people ask me as to, so what's the big deal about a RAPSTRAP? And I have my own little sort of list which I says, I think the attractive feature is its simplicity and the versatility that kind of comes with it. The potential for being green is there, which is not so in the regular cable tie. And its applications are literally limitless. Whenever I talk to a customer, they will make me aware of potentially 2 more. I've been to the vineyards thinking I can put them on the trellis. And the people in California were saying, well, how about the actual main cordon? Because that's where we use a string and we don't like it. And I said, what would you like? He says, give me a RAPSTRAP that lasts for 3 years. I said, that's okay, no problem, you know, you stabilize it. And I'm thinking biodegradability and they're thinking stability. But I learned from them, for example. Same thing happens in hardware stores. They said, have you thought about this, have you thought about that, etc. Somebody wants to, what's the right word, espaliate an apple tree. That would be very nicely done. And if we can get it certified for automotive users under the hood applications, there are lots of harnesses, etc., should be okay too. So it intrigues the user, and in turn it intrigues us. And because it's proprietary, we feel that it's worth the effort to go out and show the world what it is. We are just starting this process. So because it's a sort of a show and tell product, we think we'll have to go on the road for that. But anybody who wants a sample, I have some samples for you. And I also have 2 leaflets. There's a leaflet for applications for the cable industry, and there's a leaflet with applications in horticulture. And I've got a few with me. So there's one more speaker after me, and so I will, for now, sort of, vacate the podium. And if you hang around, be happy to share that with you. Okay? Thank you.